Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my family, today I'm here to share something powerful with you. Something simple yet profound. A truth that, when embraced, can change the entire game. It's about the power of absence, the art of stepping back, and the remarkable way it shifts everything around you. It's called Let Them Miss You and Watch Everything Change. You see, we live in a world that's full of noise, distractions, and endless connections. We're all constantly plugged in, always available, and always giving pieces of ourselves to everyone around us. We send texts, we make calls, we're at every event, we're always there for the people we care about. But here's the thing. Sometimes, just sometimes, we forget that the most impactful thing we can do isn't showing up all the time. It's withdrawing just enough to make them realize what they had. When you step back and create space in your relationships or in any area of your life, you tap into the remarkable power of absence. It's not about disappearing entirely or neglecting your responsibilities, but rather about strategically allowing yourself to become less available. This creates an opportunity for people to realize the value you bring, something they may not notice when you're always around. Your presence, when taken for granted, can become routine. But when you step back, you disrupt that routine and invite a deeper sense of appreciation. The concept of absence works like a mirror. When you're not there, others are forced to reflect on what you contributed, what you meant to them, and what they miss. It's a subtle yet profound way of showing your worth without having to prove it constantly. When you're always present, people can become complacent, assuming you'll always be around. But when you create distance, even just momentarily, you give them the space to realize the void your absence creates. This strategic absence doesn't just highlight your importance, it also shifts the dynamic of your relationship. People start to see you as someone they truly desire, rather than someone who's simply always available. They start to miss the energy, the conversations, and the support you offered. And in that moment, when they realize what they've been missing, everything changes. They start to value you more, they respect you more, and they recognize that your presence is something worth cherishing. Constant availability can sometimes diminish the value of what you offer. When you're always there, always ready to lend a hand or show up at a moment's notice, people begin to expect it as a given. You become part of their routine, something they rely on without giving it much thought. Your presence is no longer something to be appreciated because it's always there, always expected. However, when you step back and create some distance, you begin to shift that dynamic. Suddenly, your presence is no longer a guarantee. When you're not always available, people start to notice the impact you had. They recognize what they took for granted and begin to understand the value you brought to the table. The less they see you, the more they start to miss you. They realize that you were not just a constant presence, but a vital part of their lives, someone who contributed in meaningful ways. This shift can lead to a deeper appreciation. People will no longer view you as just another part of the scenery. Instead, you become someone who is truly desired. When you're available only when necessary, or when you've created that moment of absence, you give people the chance to reflect on what you've done for them, how you've been there for them, and what they'd be missing if you weren't. It's in that space of absence that your value is often most clearly realized. When you step back and allow others to experience your absence, you create an opportunity for reflection. Without you constantly present, people are forced to pause and think about the role you played in their lives. This isn't about making them miss you in a dramatic or overbearing way, but about giving them the time and space to truly consider what you've contributed. It's easy to take someone for granted when they're always around, but when you pull back, you allow the relationship to deepen. In that space, people have the chance to realize your impact. They begin to reflect on the conversations, the support, the energy you brought into their lives. They start to see you not as a given, but as something special, This reflection can lead to greater appreciation because when they miss you, they're also recognizing the ways in which you've enriched their world. It's in those moments of absence that people can truly gauge how much you've meant to them. This reflection also extends to your personal growth. By stepping back, you give yourself the time to reflect on your own value and your own needs, rather than being constantly pulled into others' demands. This time of introspection can help you see where you've been giving too much or not giving enough, and where you may need to adjust. By allowing others to miss you, you give them the chance to grow, as well as the opportunity for the relationship to evolve into something more meaningful and balanced. You don't always have to chase after people to prove your worth. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply step back and let others come to you. When you're constantly giving, constantly making yourself available, it can be easy for others to take you for granted. They know you'll be there, so they don't always appreciate the effort you put in or the value you offer. But when you remove yourself from the equation for a while, you stop being something that's expected, and instead, you become something that's desired. The absence you create gives others the opportunity to see you for who you truly are, without the constant presence clouding their perspective. It allows them to realize what you bring to the table, whether it's your energy, your support, your wisdom, or simply the way you make them feel. You don't have to prove that you matter. Your absence will do that for you. When they see what it's like without you, they'll start to understand the depth of your value. This strategy doesn't mean playing games or being manipulative. It's about giving the relationship room to breathe and grow. When you step back, you allow space for appreciation to flourish. By not chasing after others, you make them realize how much they miss you, how much they value you, and how essential your presence truly is. The key is understanding that your worth is not defined by how much you give or how often you're there. It's defined by the impact you have when you're truly needed. When people begin to miss you, it's not just about longing for your presence. It's about a complete shift in how they perceive you. Absence has a way of changing the dynamics of any relationship. The longer you're gone, the more people start to view you differently. They stop taking you for granted and start recognizing the unique contributions you made. Instead of being just a part of their everyday routine, you become someone they actively long for, someone they now realize they truly value. This shift in perspective can transform your relationships in profound ways. People begin to see you with fresh eyes, appreciating qualities they may have overlooked before. They notice the energy you brought, the wisdom you shared, the way you made them feel seen and heard. What was once ordinary becomes extraordinary in their eyes because they now understand what it feels like to be without it. The absence creates a sense of appreciation that wasn't there before, allowing others to respect and cherish you in a deeper, more meaningful way. It's no longer about simply being around. It's about the genuine impact you've had on their lives. And as their perspective shifts, so does the way they treat you. The dynamic changes from one of expectation to one of admiration. And suddenly, you become someone who is not just needed, but desired and respected. In that moment, when they realize how much they've missed you, everything shifts for the better. Your value is now undeniable, and you've earned a deeper place in their heart. Absence doesn't make you weak. In fact, it can make you stronger and more essential. The more you allow yourself to step away and create space, the more people begin to recognize how vital your presence really is. When you're always there, it's easy for people to take you for granted. They might rely on you without fully appreciating the unique energy or support you provide. But when you're no longer constantly available, they start to realize just how much you brought to the table. Your absence allows others to see the void left behind. They start to notice the impact you had, the role you played in their lives, and how much they truly depend on you without even realizing it. The key here is that your absence amplifies your presence, making it clear that you're not just someone they can easily replace. You've become an integral part of their world, and your absence highlights just how essential you are. By stepping back, you also give yourself the opportunity to reflect and grow. It's a time for you to recharge, refocus, and reevaluate your own needs. When you're constantly available, it's easy to lose sight of your own value and burn out in the process. Absence gives you the space to remember that you are important too, to yourself and to others. Great leaders promise invest your time by considering the outside influence, whether that be out the door, on your commute, in the kitchen, on your relationships, to include yourself and to others. It helps you return with a renewed sense of purpose and strength. And when you do return, people will appreciate you even more than before, recognizing that your value was never in your presence alone, but in the quality you bring to it.